Hello and welcome to Family Dynamics. It's Katherine.
And Liz.
And Ed.
And John.
So you boys just got back from visiting James. How was it?
We did. It was a very quick visit. It wasn't even the entire weekend. It's back. The weekend is still going.
Yeah, well, let's just say James, who is our older brother,
Correct,
the oldest, number one of 8, and he lives Northern California area.
Near San Francisco area, yeah.
So you two, and it's funny when you say boys.
I know.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say boys, but
all right.
I mean men. I don't know. I mean, sure.
Dudes.
Guys,
Did you dudes go somewhere this weekend?
Guys.
Yeah, we duded it up this weekend.
Well, it's funny when you first mentioned it, wasn't it kind of like a last minute plan? It wasn't like something that was on the books for months and months, right?
Was it possible that it was even going to happen last weekend, John?
No, I don't know if last weekend ever got talked about, but as that reflects, no, this was not planned long-term in advance. There's been a couple ideas to go visit, but they have either fallen through or not been planned. This was...
Or conflicted with other events that are happening with his family up there, like, Eagle Scout stuff or whatever.
Yeah, this was a seed of an idea that was probably not going to happen.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden it was going to happen.
All right. Okay.
So,
Well, and it's also germinated from a previous idea of we would like to go see movies with our brother. We enjoy going to see movies together. On occasion, there's some movies that we have seen with James a couple times where we're like, we'll wait to see John Wick 3 with him. 4, that's already come out. We haven't seen 3 yet. We're
so
waiting on
that
3.
involves taking an airplane basically to see the movie?
No, it involves coordinating when he's down here booking 2 hours to watch something.
Okay, got it.
Versus
Okay.
if it's in the theater, then it does take a flight to go catch it. And this one happened to be Mission Impossible. The plan was to go see Mission Impossible with James. Whether that was going to be opening weekend, last weekend, or this weekend, turns out it was this weekend, which was not planned very far in advance. But it's from this concept that we might go up and see John Wick with him, which never panned out, a year and a half ago or whatever.
A year and a half ago. Okay.
John Wick 3, I'm telling you, it was a long time ago.
And these sound like dude movies.
Yeah.
You were going to go up and go see Barbie with him?
No.
Okay.
Well, I guess
I didn't
because
pack any pink clothing, so we couldn't go.
you couldn't, then you're not allowed in.
You're not allowed in.
Well, I guess because it felt not spur of the moment, but not super planned ahead, I assumed you were driving. So I was very surprised when you were like, no, flying back today. I was like, they did not drive. I thought it was a driving thing.
Yeah, driving would have been a much longer in and out of this. We would have been there for the movie.
Yeah,
And then
for
been
10
back in the
minutes,
car
yeah.
last night afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, this drive, whether it's 5 hours or so, and the flight portion is an hour, but the adjacent parts make that whether 2 to 3 hours. So you're saving a solid 2 to 3 hours.
I mean,
But it's 5 hours each way, and it's maybe pick up and drop off a whole nother hour and a half for your hour flight. So you're cutting your entire travel time in half, and also not spending 6 hours in a car together.
I mean, let's put it this way. When we decided for this Friday to Sunday trip, we were deciding that on Tuesday.
Oh, on Tuesday. Mhm.
And definitely some of the compromises that had to happen, I was about to bring up driving.
okay, what were the compromises? Because I'm getting the vibe from you, John. You would have been okay with driving.
I would have been okay with a lot of things going a different way.
Okay, so what happened?
Well, okay, so he called me on Tuesday, and then, wait, no, we don't want to start there? We do want to.
No.
Yeah,
yes,
I want to
yeah.
start there. So James called you on Tuesday.
Okay, so when we were talking about John Wick 3 a couple years ago, just kidding. So,
Let's give you the whole story.
yeah, look, I mean, ideally, this flight is somewhat easy because you can fly from 2 non-major airports, and it's only an hour, and therefore that all feels fairly good. However, starting on Tuesday for a Friday departure, because the other part is, right, how much are we going to accomplish when we're up there? If it's not just one movie and, 6 to 8 hours total or whatever silliness, okay, well, we want to be up there for Friday night and then all of Saturday and then even Sunday morning. It's like, oh, that really, so okay, you're looking for a slightly late Friday night and a slightly early / late morning, early afternoon, Sunday. There were just not that many choices.
Those are like the prime choices, basically.
And
Yeah.
then also trying to go from
Yes.
the premium, nice, easy access airport to another premium, nice, easy access airport complicated everything even further to the point at which we're like, okay, Now we've got an hour to get to LAX.
Well, let John.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, get a little more back on track. So.
Yeah, I don't know where you are, but I was going with yes. So then we had to give in and say, no, we're not going to fly out of Burbank, which is lovely. We're going to fly out and back into LAX.
Which that does add time.
Yeah.
A lot.
And then we kind of didn't really think about the other side. So we got to experience two. We flew into San Jose and then flew back out of San Francisco.
What the hell? Okay, because I will say LAX right now, for those of you who are not traveling in and out of Los Angeles, that's our main airport. And it is constantly under construction.
It's brutal, yeah. So Friday night was pretty good. Coming back this Sunday was like super packed, brutal.
Yeah, because we are in the midst of the last few like summer vacation days for people or summer trips.
Sure.
I was just going away to Hawaii. I talked about it on the podcast.
Right.
And it was so bad, the departure level, I just said, don't go there. Take me to arrivals and I will take my overweight.
Oh, yeah.
100-pound extra charge suitcase up the arrival, escalator and work my way back to the departure gate, because LAX, like I said, is under construction. There's even I forgot if it's Delta, but one of the airlines you land at, and it's like just to get from your gate to basically luggage pickup. Have you experienced this recently?
Well,
We
again,
had full airport experience.
Yes.
Okay, it is like a 2-mile walk. If you
no.
have any challenges, it is like I was not prepared for this. Like I said, with my, at this point, very heavy bag coming back, and now a box as I broke up the weight. So,
Yeah.
all right, so you now are stuck going out of LAX.
Right. What time did you leave? This was on Friday.
we had like a 9:30 flight. Was that?
PM?
Yeah, 9:30 p.m.
Yeah,
'cause
buddy.
You got to get the lead. You got to get the lead. First of all, I'm working on Friday, so I've got work until late on Friday. I'm not trying to take off half a day and not get paid.
Got
so
it. Okay.
I'm working till the end of my shift on Friday, or however late that needs to be. Then there's driving to LAX at 6 o'clock. No, push the flight as late as possible so that your drive to LAX is in the last amount of traffic, not the meat of the traffic at 6 p.m.
Okay.
So we were pushing the flight late so that we could leave for the airport by like 8:30. So it made more sense for us to push the flight that late, because then there's the drive there. Plus you have to have security time to get through the check marks and stuff like that. So like you got to get to LAX by 8:45.
Got it.
Okay, so pushing the flight late was mostly about traffic, which then impinged on our time up north.
So
with our
you, but
brother.
you did carry on, right?
Only carry on. That's the
Okay,
fast
all
way
right.
you got to do it.
I don't know if I could do carry on even for a weekend.
Okay.
Well, just remember.
The toiletries.
Look, whenever you want to make a compromise or sacrifice, that's up to you. But this was 36 hours without a highfalutin event, so could be done.
What airline were you on? Spirit?
Nope.
Delta.
Delta.
Oh, okay.
So as you spoke about that Delta terminal, that is like, okay, are we at that part of the story yet? Do we want to tell
No.
about the very long terminal experience?
no,
Yeah,
no.
that's later in the story.
Keep it in order.
We got definitely different planes than you. One better, one not worse, but one full, because it's a commuter flight. It's 1 hour.
Yeah.
So yeah, no screens, no blah, blah, blah. Totally fine.
No, Delta's not doing screens anymore. When I flew to Hawaii, it's like no screens.
Yeah, tell us all about it. We just took an hour flight, screens at every seat.
Every seat
What?
on the way back.
How does that make any sense? You can't even
But
watch one show, one movie.
It's
nothing.
because we were SFO to LAX, so that's the style of plane that goes to both of those airports. It's a bigger plane. It can have all that stuff. The Burbank plane and airport doesn't have that.
It was an interesting thing because I looked up the flight earlier this morning on the return, and it was like, oh, you're currently in the air from LAX to San Francisco, and then you're going to just come right back from San Francisco to LAX. So I think we were part of like the last leg, so then they probably had a farther leg after that, maybe, or I don't know anything. But it was a very nice plane for this 1 hour flight.
On the way
no
there,
logic.
though. On the way there, though.
Yeah, so that was the way back, the nice plane. Okay.
That wasn't a bad plane on the way there, but it was a little odd in that they had economy plus seating, or their premium seating was like a 1 and a 2 row for the first 5. And then immediately after that, exact same width and no break whatsoever, the aisle just kind of scooches over, and now it's 2 and 2.
Yeah, that was new. I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, that was an odd one, and I think it might also be kind of new for the flight staff. I did see a hip check 3 or 4 times in that chair as she was trying to navigate the not straight line.
Did you take the extra leg room, or were you just able to get seats barely?
We might as well go there. But so arriving to LAX, we gave ourselves tons of time. It actually was totally fine, even though security was brutal. The way we parked, and then we basically walked the same portion like 3 times, and then it was the longest security line that snaked back where we just walked.
Legitimately, like the terminal has plenty of room on the 3rd story above where Terminal 1 and Terminal 2 are. There's no way we didn't backtrack into Terminal 2 from Delta's 3. It felt like we were absolutely going a quarter mile in each direction. We're like, we're way into 2. What happened? How did we get this far?
Yeah, but we had a ton of time, so it ended up being fine. But it was, look, this was also dinner time. So then we had like 40 minutes before, the boarding window. It was like, is that enough time? Oh, let's go to this restaurant.
A restaurant?
There was nothing else in that
but
end
that's
that
aggressive.
was very low end options. I'm like, I don't want a Jersey Mike right now.
And it was funny. Maybe it makes sense.
I'll take
Go
like an
ahead.
appetizer, fries or something.
Right. So I think it might make sense that these, quicker service things, the Starbucks and the Jersey Mikes, had enormous lines.
Yeah.
30 people plus.
Oh, right.
There were something that had 0 line. Then these 2 restaurants that we tried were full, but no line. But they were like, well, you're full, so the service is slow. So we waited at 1 for a while. We almost got the deviled eggs. Would have been great.
Almost.
On a flight?
No, of course.
That is dangerous.
Yeah, take them to go and bring them on the flight
The
with
gas you're
Hand
going to
them
have.
So then we gave up on that restaurant. And
That's
we went
rude. They're even serving those.
honestly, it's insane.
Because literally deviled eggs, I remember when I was a caterer, previous life, deviled eggs, one guy came up to me, he goes, these are delicious deviled eggs, but man, the gas later tonight is going to be horrible.
no.
And I was like, it stuck with me
Thanks for
forever.
sharing.
And I was like, oh, well, have another. But I was like, at a flight, that is brutal. Okay.
It's a short flight. It wouldn't have even digested by the time.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so then we went to the other restaurant, which did have, you could order for takeout from a screen, and maybe that would be, quicker. But we were thinking we had time to sit down. At this point, it's like 20 minutes, and we're like,
No.
20 minutes.
wait 2 or 3 more minutes.
The issue isn't that it's 20 minutes. It's that Delta's got a policy where they're going to close the doors 15 minutes before the flight departs.
So you have 5 minutes?
Well,
I think we still had 20 minutes of
we had
the window.
20-minute window before they'd close the door, which means we need to be at the gate with 5 minutes to spare. So we're standing there for 5 minutes waiting. Oh, let me clear a table off. We're staring at each other like, this is not going well.
Yeah, and
not eating great.
Yeah, and we'd already looked, and they were boarding, but not us. Although confusingly, I don't know when we would be, because the list they were talking about didn't have. It was like, you're not going to use row numbers, and this doesn't say. I don't know what we're going to be, but not us. Sounds good. So then we decided no food.
So 40 minutes, nothing in the end.
Yeah, perfect.
Worked out great.
Then got on the flight, fine. I'm sorry. Actually, so we're at the gate. So go to check in. I happen to be first in line.
And we did all the classic things, checking the gate to make sure that our flight is actually still at that gate. It hasn't changed on us, but we didn't assume anything about our tickets.
Well, I will contend.
What?
We had checked in the day before, and it gives you, quote unquote boarding pass. But then sometimes you get a little, squirrely, and you go to the kiosk down by the baggage check, and you're like, I'm going to check in again. Even though I'm already checked in, I don't know what I am, but I'm going to do it again. So we did that, and it was like, same deal. Do you need a boarding pass? It's like, I guess not. And I think, I'm perhaps 90% certain, it was the same exact thing that I already had, boarding pass, gate, seats, everything was the same. Yeah, then we do security, then we deal with the food, and we've already checked the actual gate, and everything looks fine. So now we're going to actually board. I think they had said all seats, so whatever category we were got listed, but it was now time for us.
Oh.
So we walked up to the gate, and John's first, and beep, boop.
It was the not working sound.
Oh, no.
The big red X.
So yeah, and then she was like, oh, I've got you in this seat. I was like, okay. So she gives me a new boarding pass with a different seat. Which seems okay. You're
whatever.
like, sure. And then so Ed comes after me, same, beep, beep, boop. And then we realize, they're different. It's like 6 and row 9.
Oh, no.
Two people with the same last name who had seats booked next to each other just walked up to you with their boarding passes that were paired seats, and you're like, no, bye, have a good flight.
Oh,
What if one of you had been a child?
I know, yeah. Don't worry about it. Have your 3-year-old up in a different row. It's fine.
Yeah, it was interesting. We don't know why at all for any reason. But then we get in there and, so I have someone next to me. Ed also had someone next to him, which was fine. But then I think it was it was before we took off, but not enough time. Before we took off, flight attendant comes by and says to the person next to me, like, oh, do you want to go in the row that's empty next to you? And so they move over there. So now we're each have our own 2-person row to ourselves. But at this point, Ed's like in front of me and I can't get his attention. And it seems like there's not enough time.
Sure, you couldn't get his
attention. I put a headset on. It's like they're turning the lights off on us.
Yeah,
like, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. We haven't
sure.
taken off. Go to sleep. Okay, fine. Jeez.
Yeah, so finally we take off, and then things have happened, and they have released the seatbelt sign. So I go up to him. I was like, hey, if you want to come back to where I am, there's now a thing. I also timed out. I was in front of the drink service, and then by the time I talked to Ed, I was now behind the drink service. So she almost made me wait, but I escaped. So
nice.
It was fine. However,
I had to disassemble from my seat with stuff under the seat and pull it all out and get myself corded and unbuckle. And by the time I got up, she had moved a half a seat back. So now she was dealing with the other side. So now I'm kind of trying to get around her. And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I was going to go sit with my brother. I'd have to talk to the pilot. I'm like, never mind, sitting back down. End of conversation.
Wow, what?
Not even trying to figure that out.
they seem to say that we were now in different sections of service. Now, we did somehow get upgraded into Comfort Plus.
Yeah, our 18th row seats got split into 2 now different sections that you're not allowed to sit
But I
next to
will
each other.
contend row 6 and row 9 were both Comfort Plus, and he could have moved, but...
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
But in the midst of a drink service, I don't think she was able to handle a seat change situation, and me trying to move while she was doing that without any heads up or notice. She was probably the one that had moved the other person. She'd be able to do it, not during drink service. And after drink service is over, it's 5 more minutes of flight. So,
Well, as soon as she was short with you,
that's it.
you
I'm
don't
not
mess around
arguing
the
with that. You
airlines.
sit right back down.
Never mind.
flight
Never
attendants-
mind.
Oh, did you have an opinion about this and it's not okay for me to move a seat on a bus in the air? Okay, good. I'll just sit down. No worries. No snacks. I'm not getting to smile at you for the rest of the flight, though.
Ooh.
You're very irritating.
Yeah, well.
I put my headphones on and just stare forward.
Well, the thing you really missed out on was there was an artist. Not in front of me, but, to the row on the side, or the section of the row on the other side. So I got to witness art in the making.
Art in the making? What?
I don't know, they had an iPad. They were clicking things 9,000 times to change colors and, the width of their brush or whatever.
Wow. All right.
I mean-
very entertaining.
It was too slow to pay attention to. And I don't know if anything got accomplished, but it was happening.
All right.
Eddie, who were you seeing next to? What was that vibe?
Sleepsville, headphones on, passed out, leaning forward a couple times.
For an hour flight?
And what the other weird part of that was, for me, was I'd like to see what the actual map of things that they're required to do in a flight are. Because at some point, I'm figure out what you want us to do. Because you've turned the whole plane's lights on for the food service. Then you turn all the lights off. Then you turn some of the lights back on during the flight. Now that we're landed, all the lights are back on. It's only 40 minutes. I'm
It's so
basically getting a
short.
strobe effect from you guys.
Yeah, they're going to
right
give you a
now.
seizure. They're going to give you a seizure. Yeah.
That seems like something you do on a much longer flight.
Yeah, it felt way out of whack for a 45 to 55 minute flight. Whereas a 5-hour long flight, you'd absolutely buy into, at the beginning, all lights on. And then for 2 hours, just use your screen as a light.
Now, you arrived safely then.
Correct.
What airport?
This was San Jose. Now, the thing I will say is, so flying Delta out of LAX, whatever, not something I'm eminently familiar with. Coming into San Jose, I am somewhat familiar with. However, the Delta terminal is not the Southwest terminal. And it was this is totally different. What is happening? Unbelievable.
Well,
now I
also-
don't know where to go.
It is an older terminal, so it is a
That's
different...
my theory, but yes.
Well, and I agree, because the baggage cart looks like it's straight out of the 70s LAX, underground.
There's not a 30-foot screen.
No, there's this is an old school style, almost like Burbank is not really been upgraded. Okay, that makes sense. But this is not the one that we're used to coming into, so where is James?
Yeah, so he's I'll meet you outside, which normally makes a lot of sense for the Southwest. You exit, you pass the 30-foot screen, you step foot outside, that's where he is. This was outside where we went and we're on a street with drop-offs, maybe, and we don't see you. We don't know where you are.
Oh, jeez.
It was fine. That's what cell phones
Apparently,
are
we
for.
crossed paths. We were going downstairs when he was going upstairs or something, and then when we finally came back, he was well into what we feel like is an airport area, baggage claim.
Yeah, he was like, I'm in baggage
way up
claim.
in
I was
there.
like, what? Wait.
Out
where?
of his car, walking around?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did he park?
And
Correct.
awesomely
Okay.
parked directly across from one of the doors. So when we actually backtracked to where he was,
like 20 feet.
Even closer.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, because LAX, you can't walk someone to the gate. It's like no one gets out and meets you basically at luggage. It's just such a hassle.
Yeah.
All right, so nice. You got a in-person greeting.
Yes, indeed.
He didn't have a sign, though, that said Killmond Brothers.
He did not.
That
have
would
a
have been
sign.
amazing.
That would have been amazing.
That's so not James. So, all right,
Not at all. Like,
what time?
not at all.
So was this around 11-ish at night?
By that time, yeah.
Yeah.
Exiting
Okay.
the airport probably about 11.
All right, so you get to their house. Who's even still up or living there right now?
Do you know, James? Do you think we went directly to the house?
Oh,
he had
did
an
you guys?
alternate plan.
Oh, wow. Okay. What'd you do?
We had to commiserate, so we got a drink.
Oh, like a pub or something or a bar?
One of the spots that we've been to a bunch of times, and one of the problems is some of the other spots are gone. So that was one of the commiserating things that we did was we talked about the places we can't go to.
Yeah,
But
I
we
didn't
went to the
even-
Dutch Goose.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize they were asking this question. They're like, oh, do you have any anchor steam? I was like, why are they asking that? He also is obsessed with the freshness of kegs, so I thought it was related to that. Apparently, Anchor Steam might or is going out of business very soon.
Anchor Steam is a type of beer?
Anchor Steam
What?
is like-
Catherine.
What? I don't know these things.
It's a San Francisco brewery, and I think it got bought by Sapporo a while ago, and they're now not interested in paying the rent for that area
Well, no,
anymore, I
it's
think.
supposedly not doing very well as well.
Oh.
Partially pandemic because they apparently sold more to bars and whatever kegs than they were doing in store like bottles.
Oh.
So
is it regional? Because I do remember James liking it. I can almost picture the label, but that is not my husband likes beer. He likes beer. Like
I like beer.
I like beer, but I mean it's never ever been something I've heard him like. Do you have Anchor Steam?
you do have to kind of get in that San Francisco vein to then
okay.
care, but it has been distributed nationwide for a while. That was part of in the last couple months of things that they were going to cut to keep it, and then apparently they didn't cut enough or whatever, but they were going to slice back the nationwide, and then they just cut it all.
So the question,
Incredibly sad.
So the question to the bartender, do you have Anchor Steam, was more than that. Do you have any left, actually?
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Stopped brewing, so just it's whatever reserves that people have or whatever.
So they got like that keg that's running and one more keg, and then we're out forever.
So
Now
they
that-
had it.
They did.
That's like my Choco Taco
Yeah.
and the world famous chocolate wafers. These things should not be going away.
Wait, it's going away? The chocolate wafers?
Choco Tacos are gone, but I walked in someplace and they had treasure trove. I bought 6 of them. They were a little stale, but and I've held on to one. Ethan's always like, "Mom, when are you going to eat it? When are you going to eat it?" And then the world famous Nabisco chocolate wafer cookies, which you need for the
Yeah, that
Icebox
cake. That-
John.
yeah,
One of your favorites. It is discontinued.
Discontinued? Are you serious?
I have no idea why. The outrage should be worldwide.
Oh my God, I'm such a fan. I can't believe this.
So I can relate to the Anchor Steam outrage that, you're basically finding the last few
Now this is a
glasses.
Yeah, this is a specific moment. There's, possible investors. There's the employees turning it into co-op. Who knows if any of those things will happen.
But this bar that you went to
Had it.
on tap.
what did you say the name of the bar was?
The Dutch Goose.
The Dutch Goose. I love that.
Don't you remember that green shirt I have with a goose and a beer on top?
That's from there.
No, but cool. All right.
So is James excited that they had Anchor Steam?
Very excited.
Yes, we were all excited, and James stuck with his mode, which is usually a beer or a drink. I got John and I another round of Anchor Steam, so we double dipped. Enjoyed
Well,
it.
you traveled.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then...
Wait, did you ever eat anything?
No.
No.
What?
Now, I will say I had like a 4 o'clock lunch of 2 slices of pizza that weren't like slim slices. They still settled. I was all right.
And
I
there
could have
is
eaten.
beer is filling, but still.
Now, of course, James, in his teamwork planning ahead, had provided sandwiches, which we, of course, declined.
Provided
what do you
sandwich.
mean?
What
What
does
do you
that
mean?
mean?
Well, he realized that this was a dinner time type situation. By the time you're trying to drive to this flight and take the flight, and they're not going to give you dinner on the flight.
Right.
So he was like, I'm going to bring you sandwiches.
What were
From,
the
from
sam-
where? What?
Where do you think? Where does James
Michelle.
get food?
But I know.
Home.
But why would you turn down a Michelle sandwich?
Because it was inappropriate.
What do you mean? Okay,
It was time to drive and move on. Dinner time was over.
But you couldn't eat the sandwich while driving?
It's not that. It's that, not in a bad way. We're still very young in all of our siblings' minds. So we are still, treated as the younger brothers. This is very much the dad, I brought sandwiches for the car trip energy. We're your adult older brothers. We don't want your wife's homemade sandwiches. It's all good. We failed food, and our brains have settled on that.
We're okay.
not
Wait a minute. Were these
Also,
like
I
peanut
want to
butter
know
and
what.
jellies?
Yeah, what kind of
were these?
sandwich?
turkey, I think, is what he said.
I mean, because
Didn't really look.
I know the type of sandwich I would make.
I looked for
also
cookies.
on our
and there
way.
were no cookies.
We were on our way to the
Was it
Dutch
like a
Goose.
little cooler or like what was it?
It was
oh
his
my God.
lunch cooler he had brought, and he was doing work at the office before he picked us up, and then brought the sandwiches.
I do totally appreciate the planning ahead and that
I loved
we had
it.
missed dinner, but it was just like, well,
We're
first of all,
okay.
if you would have told me ahead, I would have told you not to. But now, surprising me, I'm still going to tell you no, even though it was necessary.
I loved it. It was very sweet, but it is absolutely the 70s road trip energy of let's pack a bunch of tuna fish sandwiches and
I
It's
like
not
that
about-
energy.
it's
I know.
not
I,
about
I,
that, but-
I absolutely could not have refused.
Same here.
Meaning just
You
like
wouldn't.
that she had gone to the trouble to make it. I would have been just like, I will eat that sandwich, even if I don't want it and
Same
don't need
here.
it. I
you
mean,
also have to realize
Ridiculous.
I understood what was being offered, and I was refusing it because I'm about to have some beers. I don't want a random turkey sandwich 10 seconds before I have some beer.
But what's gonna
I'd rather
happen to
just
those
enjoy the beer
sandwiches?
and get a little bit of buzz on my empty stomach. I'm good with that. Don't mess
Same
that up.
thing that happens with your leftovers. They get eaten later.
Yeah. They just went back in the fridge. This is lunch tomorrow.
Okay. Kath, we are on different pages
We're on
about
different
this.
pages,
But okay,
yes.
You are both mothers. We are.
So-
If I
just
bring you a
men who
sandwich,
will
you better
handle our
fucking
own
eat
food
it. That's all I'm
situations.
saying.
Guess whose choice that will be? Mine.
Okay, so you have
Katherine.
now.
When's the last time you made a sandwich? Okay, good answer. I'm going with you don't have anything in this decade?
What? Oh, I
you
make
make
sandwiches.
sandwiches all the
Yeah.
time.
Like I'll make food for Adam. I've made sandwiches for Adam. I'll make.
Hello,
Yeah.
all the
Road
right.
trip sandwiches when you're picking people up that might not have
Not
eaten?
typically.
Oh, that's a different vibe.
trip
I've
Not
made.
just a home sandwich.
Wait, let me just say, I've made tons of road trip sandwiches, even in this last year, 2 years.
For
And
you and Lainey.
no.
Oh, because that's what I'm saying. We're adults, not your child. That makes sense to make sure they aren't hangry and get a sandwich. I'm going to enjoy the calories of that beer, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't need
well,
a sandwich.
I mean,
I've made a lot of road trip sandwiches for a wide range of people, including not my son, but also in the same regard, like when we would have writing sessions at my house, remember it was like a sandwich bar. You always made sandwiches, I mean, for yourself, but would assemble. We're a sandwich family.
I think the sticking point of this story is these were not pre-discussed sandwiches. So you had not given your consent to have sandwiches. So that's the real thing.
Well, and as we've already somewhat touched on, this trip was not incredibly convenient. So every inconvenience only added to that. It was like, not only do we have to fly out of LAX, now you're going to have her make sandwiches. Like, this is just beyond the pale.
I just think
It's very funny.
It's very easy to have resolved this. Our brother James loves us. He could have just asked, hey, you guys won't be getting dinner with the timing of your driving and the flight. Do you want Michelle to make you some sandwiches? No, we'll eat at the airport. We're good. Solved. No weirdness later. No surprise sandwiches on our way to the bar. Chill out.
but you did not eat at the airport. So
Well, but he didn't know that.
As a grown-up,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get
yeah.
to determine if I failed that and need to reset it and then tell James, we didn't get to eat at the airport. It was complicated. Can we stop someplace? I'm happy to ask. I just don't want to be surprised with an answer I haven't asked yet.
what was there
Surprise
no
sandwiches.
food at this bar? I'm just so fascinated.
No, I mean, it was almost midnight by the time we're getting there.
Yes
Closing
and
in.
no. I mean, as we waited and they were ignoring us, they were serving or finishing food for other people. Maybe not the full menu, but seemingly
Kitchen
there were,
might be
like
closing.
onion rings or whatever.
Oh.
But as we have said, the dinner window was closed.
All right, so you had your 2 beers, and now what time are you getting back to the house?
I mean, that was almost one, probably, right?
Yeah, about one. Speaking of surprises, James's house was very full. I was not anticipating.
Wait a minute, I
thought it was going to be
everybody
me,
was gone.
James, Michelle,
Summer
and
is over.
JP.
No, it isn't, Liz.
Oh, it's not. It is Williams here. Okay. Who else is here? Oh, don't be worried about all of Teresa's stuff. She's going to South Bend next week. So she's just moved back into our living room with all of her stuff.
Oh my gosh, what? Oh, because she probably had to give up her apartment in some sort of timely manner
Yeah.
or whatever.
She's going on to a graduate school.
Right.
So there's a weird sort of like in between. Okay.
Right.
I, for some reason, also didn't know if William, who's away at college, had maybe stayed somewhere, internship or job. So right now, currently, 3 of their 5 children were there. Mm-hmm. I actually thought you might get maybe 1, if none. So 3 of the kids were there. Where were you all tucking in to go to sleep at 1+ in the morning?
Now, technically, they do have 5 beds for children, 3 in one room, 2 in the other. So there could have been enough beds. However, apparently a mattress has gotten moved to a college location.
Okay.
So
Ooh, somebody absconded with their mattress.
almost said absconded.
I do love that word. It's great.
So when we arrived, John Paul was asleep in the living room
Okay.
and did
all right.
not particularly enjoy our return. Because he works apparently early morning. His days off are like Tuesday, Wednesday, or Tuesday.
Where does he
Thursday.
work?
He's working at a hardware store.
Really? Okay.
Our 18-year-old nephew who's about to leave for college. So he's got to earn money for, his college, probably extracurricular activities.
Yeah.
Okay,
Correct,
so then where did you two
He
sleep?
also might have been able to get a discount for some of the stuff he was doing for his Eagle Scout project if he was working there at the time. That would have been a good combination. I don't know if they did it.
I don't know if that worked out. So further inconvenience, we'd kicked both the boys out of their beds or whatever. Obviously, one was in the living room. The other one got to be in the girls' room. So we had the boys' room with the 2 beds.
Oh my God.
and they were
hysterical.
twin beds, right?
Solid.
Well, yeah, probably, yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of between John and I. We were pretty quiet all night, but between me turning and tossing in a single spot, like let me just flip myself over right here. That wasn't quiet. I heard John move. That's probably what this room is all the time. Just I can hear that person right there. They're 5 feet from me.
There is something about, an unfamiliar situation where you don't sleep quite as deeply. So
Sure.
I think that is part of it's like, oh, how many times did I wake
No,
up?
I'm going to tell you what it was. It was the
Feel
2
free.
beers and no food in your stomach. You should have had those fucking sandwiches.
No, actually, I think that's why I slept so soundly until 11. 11. I think I was in bed until like 10:30.
Yeah, they did not wake us up. Apparently, James texted us at some point in the morning to inform us of activities, and I did not see that text until
Did he want to
later.
go for a run or something?
You're thinking of old James. We're dealing with new James.
Oh.
Weightlifting James.
Oh.
So he had told us the night before there he had a couple of things he was trying to do that day. Obviously, later in the day was going to be the movie, but in the beginning of the day, and one of those things might be the gym, which we did not say that we were interested in.
Oh my God. It's,
I mean, you had conversations with James. I heard we're going up to see Mission Impossible for the weekend. Great. I didn't hear about a gym.
I know. I just meant the night before. He told us he was going to try to work out on Saturday, the next day. So he, is shuffling the schedule. He texted us. We didn't answer. We finally get up. He's not there. He comes back. And it was like, well, now it's going to be gym time. And I was like, okay. And he's like, so you're going to come with? It's like,
did you have anything but flip-flops?
No, I had not that I was trying to limit activities, but I brought no gym or running clothes and only a pair of flip-flops and no socks.
Nice.
Be there for like 2 nights.
Yeah,
but
36
that
hours.
is, you can't really go weightlift in flip-flops.
Yeah, so he was selling it to myself and Michelle and John Paul. Like, well, he's gonna spot me while I do. I was like, okay.
Oh my God.
But
what?
shoes are still a good option. So I was like, well, I don't know. You got to give me shoes then and socks because I don't have either. So then it was like, well, what size shoes are who? And so we found a pair of shoes. Those will come back, those shoes. But
Oh, my.
So we got out the door. I also was like, well, I don't have
I
any.
opted not to go.
Yeah, I had
out
no
with Michelle.
gym clothes, but I did say, okay, these shorts could kind of work because I'm not going to actually be doing a workout. And I was like, well, I prefer to have not this shirt, which is like slightly nice. He looked for another shirt for me that was going to fit my criteria, which was like a sports shirt, not a cotton shirt, and he could not find it. So then we gave up on that and was like, well, I wasn't going to wear it again anyway. It's dirty from yesterday. I could use that one, and then I guess, okay, now we go. So we went to the gym, which I cannot remember if I've been to or not. I definitely hadn't been inside. I've been hearing about it for a long time. And it was a nicer gym than I thought because the way he describes it is not good. Although, big shocker, apparently they've lost their lease. It's going to be closed next week.
Oh, no. What?
my
Oh, God.
What's happening
You finally
up
got
there?
to see the gym before it closed.
Yeah, and then as I was suspicious, so we're rolling in, and it was like, okay, he's setting up what he's going to do, and it was like, now your turn. And I was like,
Oh, what?
I was
Uh-oh.
like, you said spot you. And it's like, no, we're just going to. So, yeah, then he had me do not his workout, but whatever, basically the same deal. So, doing the full workout that he was going to do, which was How
How much did you bench, John?
Yeah, so what is his workout theory that's going on? Isn't it something about deadlifts? And I don't know what's really happening.
Yes. So weightlifting, but only kind of like 4 different moves or whatever you might call them. It's like squats, deadlift. I think bench is one of them, and then overhead press. And that's basically it. Those are
And
your...
no more cardio.
No, it's not about cardio. Nope, not at all.
And why again?
Well, because there is a big theory about building strength, especially, is by pressing weights that are more, as you can build up to them. And that also, strength does help your bones as opposed to cardio, which is slightly more about weight control.
Okay. How long has he been doing this whole thing?
Maybe close to 10 years. Ed and I did a weightlifting seminar with James 9 years ago.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Was it a 2-day thing?
That would make sense if I could remember.
I can't remember between that and stay out of town where we went on a run. But no matter, the upshot of that weightlifting class that we did however long ago was we had something that had a cheese skirt on it on the burger.
Yeah.
That was the highlight of the entire experience
A
for me.
cheese skirt.
Which is just a whole bunch of extra cheese melted around your patty that has now become like a little skirt that they just put that on your thing for you.
A little
Extra
crispy
cheese.
bite.
So
Crispy
you're
extra cheese.
at a seminar which we teaching health and wellness, and,
then we go
your big
eat
takeaway was
a
an
burger
extra cheesy
someplace
burger.
with an extra, yeah.
Love it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Because you two are not weightlifters that I'm aware of.
No.
Not particularly, no.
Okay, so
I mean, I'll do a gym workout that includes a half-hour run with some other weights in it when I have access to a gym.
I gotta
Haven't in a
say,
while.
yeah, Eric takes Adam to the gym, which is very funny.
Heavy weights.
Yeah, so Adam will report back because we do this thing where I try and get him to recount his day because he didn't really have any sense of, how to explain what he was doing all day. But Eric will take him to the gym and have him do machines or whatever. I'll be like, okay, so you went to the gym. How was it? Good. What did you do? Heavy weights. Heavy weights. That's I'm like, okay.
Although apparently not so heavy because, especially like a bench, he can basically push it up out of his hands and then catch it back.
Yeah,
But it's a
yeah.
connected machine, so it's
oh,
slightly
okay. I'm
less
like, oh
dangerous
my
than
god.
it sounds.
Okay, so oh my god, this is like the longest
We're
weekend.
12 hours into the 36
Yeah,
hours.
like-
Wow.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
keep going. I want to know what happens next.
Yeah, what were
Gym.
the shoes issue?
Yeah. So as I'm standing there, I look down and I finally realize, like, oh, the sole, especially around the toe, is sliding to disconnect. And then
Oh,
later,
no.
it was like, oh wait, the middle. I don't think that's separating from the sole. Is that just now I can see inside and get a little air
It's
conditioning
disintegrating
vent.
as you wear it.
Pretty much.
Whose shoes were these?
James's shoes that
Oh,
are
jeez.
more than 20 years old.
Is he going to repair them, knowing James?
Apparently, he was firm that these have not already been repaired. Whether they will be repaired, because he bought.
Repaired?
Just
Get
glue the sole
glued
back
again,
on.
man.
What? Okay.
He did buy 3. The other 2 are in better condition.
Why did he give you those?
Because these are the ones he's using. I don't know. That's what he said.
Okay.
So he may repair them, unknown at this moment.
Okay, so you could have been injured with these shoes that were.
I mean, it was slightly a lightweight, without using the word weight, workout. It wasn't that. It was fine. Everything
Had you
was
not
fine.
eaten before this?
Actually, no.
Oh my god!
They were doing intermittent fasting, sort of
No,
unintentional.
honestly,
I wasn't. I had my normal breakfast shake thing that I do when I got up. I had what I was going to have for the morning.
Well, see, I'm forgetting. We did know there was also a lunch plan to go to a place that Ed and I had not been to before.
Okay. So you were intermediate fasting.
Yeah, not on purpose. So we knew there was lunch coming up, and by the time I got up late, and since I didn't know quite the plan, I was like, well, I'm going to wait to have anything for breakfast until I find out the rest of the plan. Instead, I go to the gym.
Oh my!
So
you
believe
could have
it-
grabbed one of those leftover sandwiches on your way out the door.
Yeah, I did think of that, but not. It wasn't the right moment. But I did think of a friend. I was like, I hopefully don't just pass out during this workout. That
Oh,
would be bad.
jeez.
So whatever. The workout was fine. We did squats to warm up. Then we did the presses, and then we did some chin ups.
What kind of numbers are we talking here in terms of weight?
Well, what you're not thinking of is an overhead press is basically putting your hands on top of your shoulders and then pushing straight up. Which is not a motion that you're super familiar with for a lot of people.
Behind your head, you mean?
That's an issue that we can't get into right
okay.
now.
All right, sorry.
Proper
but,
positions.
Yeah, there was a lot of debate, and I had to tell him I don't care.
I'm doing this right now and never again, so don't worry about it.
I'm going to do it my way at this moment, regardless of what you think.
I mean, is James very muscular that I'm unaware of?
Yes.
Really?
I mean, part of how James looks is because of muscle. Yes.
Interesting.
He actually, I think is it this Wednesday or Thursday? They are already members of the 1,000-pound club.
What?
For like cumulative, but they're going to go, him and William, who's kind of followed him into this weightlifting thing, are going to try and do it in one day, like one session, between the various forms, 1,000 pounds. Which,
Well, how much does he lift at a time? Like, what's going on there?
yeah, it's all very heavy. It's not, Olympic level or anything, but it's,
I'd be surprised
it's
if it was.
very, very heavy, yes.
Okay.
What? I need a number.
Okay, I forget the exact number, but I think he built up, and this is his lowest number at the moment, but his max for that day was 163.
163. That's
Okay.
crazy. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm using an 8-pound dumbbell thing, and I'm very proud of myself. So
Well, James would be very happy for you to continue to progress.
Okay, so lunch, right? Are you eating
I'll
now?
do a
You can
quick
finish the gym.
I'll do a quick finish of the gym.
Okay.
By the way, the nice thing about visiting a lot of people is you then have to tell each story many times after every like part of the thing that has happened.
yeah.
So I have had to tell this gym story a couple times. So we're finally leaving. And we had met this guy. He called him Coach. No, we didn't even say hello. He just pointed him out. As we were coming back, he's like, I'm going to introduce you. It's like, I'm never going to see this person again in my life. But whatever. He's there all the time for another week.
Till it closes.
But apparently, his coach, who's like somewhat helps out as a coach at the high school where his son just graduated, has a kid that's in his grade, who's now at football camp for Berkeley, is also a former WWE wrestler. So that was kind of interesting.
Oh, okay.
His hand swallowed my hand.
What?
It was
a large person.
crazy. So we get through that, and then now this other guy who's been walking back and forth, who was never pointed out to me, and it was like, oh, now we're going to meet this guy. He's like the owner or whatever he is. For some reason, both this coach and this other guy were like, oh, where are you visiting from? So then the owner, the next question or two was like, oh, Los Angeles. Oh, really? Well, don't say Woodland Hills. And we were like,
Why?
What? Yes, Woodland Hills. So then for some reason that like we got off track, and then James said something about like, well, I went to St. Mel's. And he was like, I went to St. Mel's.
Oh, so it was more like it can't be where I'm from.
Yes, exactly.
Oh.
Now, was this someone that James had known for a long time, and this is just coming up?
Yes, and the other good part of the story, which got muddled, but he was saying in his head, he's like, well, don't think of this person who I know from high school who has the same last name, because it's this other person who has a different first name, but the same last name.
And they're obviously not going to be related because I'm way up here and that's from Woodland Hills, so there's no way these two people with last names are related. I'll never bring it up. That would be embarrassing, and then I'd have to see that guy every time I go into this gym and be
Correct.
like,
Embarrassing. I'm like
I
dropping
thought
names
you were
and
related to
connections.
someone from my grade school.
Correct. So then he said that story. He's like, well, I've always said in my head, don't say this because I'll get it wrong. And he's like, that's my brother.
Oh,
Of
my
course.
God.
So that is apparently his younger brother. And it turns out James was also kind of twisting in his mind. He apparently, the youngest of the three brothers, was in his class, which was not the name he was thinking of. But whatever. So there was some
Oh, my gosh.
disconnect, reconnect. It was very strange. He lived apparently on the way to Shoot Park Pool. So
Oh, wow.
really
Okay.
all up in the mix.
I had that reversed when you were telling that little bit of the story. I thought the guy was thinking, don't say this because,
I was trying to tell it quickly, people. I'm sorry I misled you.
No. It's fine. So who was thinking like, oh, this last name?
James. So
James
he's saying
was.
when
Okay.
he walks in, he always says to himself, well, don't think of this person's name who like I know and has the same last name because that's not the right first name. And I don't want to use the wrong first name. So he has to like mentally,
Gotcha.
he's like, I've been doing this for 10 years.
He's going through like a cycle in his head, like remembering, oh, I know a Smith from school. This is a different Smith. I need to make sure that I don't say Doug Smith instead of Steve Smith. Okay.
Well, it's
All
great.
right,
It's
got
all
it.
happening a week before it closes. So
That is
perfect.
amazing.
Okay, all right.
Ridiculous. So then we finally get out the door, which they were closing at that time, although it didn't feel that way, but there was also no one else there, so maybe it did feel that way. And we finally get back, and it's like, well, now it's time for lunch, right? It's like, yep, for sure.
Are you about to faint?
No, I was fine. It was weirdly not whatever.
Okay.
And I mean, it was warm up there, but not as warm as down here. So, but I mean, there was like a heat warning that they kept talking about, but it was like for other areas. So
Okay.
not applicable. So we finally went to, I think I know the name, which is ridiculous, Gourmet Hofstadt.
Yep, that's
Which
it.
is like
That
a German.
sounds exactly what James would be dragging you to.
It is a
Yep.
step up from the one that we have. That's, I believe, closed around here.
Wait,
German cold cuts, I think, is not available anymore. So this is
because wait,
Yes.
we've had this place called German Cold Cuts that is sort of right on a main drag, but down,
Real
Like down a
tucked in.
little,
tucked
yeah.
in. But because I like a cold cut, I've always been curious, but I've never gone in for some reason.
Well, that's why it
So
closed.
about 5 years ago, I started to talk about it with John, like, we should go, da-da-da. And he said...
Well, there's no, I am not
Yes.
getting on the hook.
Yes.
You have not been saying
100%.
You have said this to me maybe twice.
Right, well, this is
I don't
because
even
this
know
is
about
why.
that.
Because you said you and James went there, and it wasn't that great.
Well,
and
here's
I'm like, what?
Here's the deal. It was definitely like, oh, you should know how to order German food that you like, because if you just try to wing it, you're going to end up with something real weird.
Oh,
that's
no.
not what you want.
Wait, was
I
it
had
a
been in there
restaurant? I
one
thought
time
it was
a
like
long time
just
ago.
like a deli or something.
It's kind of,
And
I
it's
am
a deli.
obsessed.
A
Is
little
it
bit of a
gone? I
market,
missed my
too.
opportunity to go to the German. Oh my God,
Look it up
John,
right
this is
now.
your fault.
True.
She's on her
You
phone
talked
looking
me
it up
out
right
of
now.
it. And
I
then,
did not talk you out. There's no way.
The good news is, if they're not closed, we were doing a review of their sandwiches and the next Family Dynamics. We all went and got some. It was
my
great.
God.
Well,
Okay.
their signage is still there because on 4th of July, when Adam and I went to 4th of July, we were right there. I could see it. So the signage is there.
This is
I don't know if it's
suspicious,
closed.
so I could be
but
totally wrong about everything, as always. So this is a very similar, except it's an actual beer
You're not going to
garden.
be able to find it because you don't have a name. You can't just look up like
It's
German
called-
cold
yes.
cuts.
First of all, you
is
could
it
just
called
go,
German cold
just
cuts?
go
Yes.
to Google Maps, which has every business has a tag on it.
Everybody calm down. So get to your house, your German house that you're going to now up
Yeah,
north.
as you pay attention to it,
Yes,
sure.
I've got to look at German deli.
German, just type German cold cuts in the street.
I know. Don't worry.
Okay, yeah, I'm not going to worry. So this is an actual beer garden, whatever that means. It had outside patio, it had inside tables, then it had like a full type market. I mean, full as in, 200 square feet, but whatever. It had a bunch of different, German crackers and German beer and German other things. We ended up getting like the sampler, like multiple kinds of sausage, and they were very good.
Yeah.
All right.
Did James get like a liverwurst or anything like that? Because he likes that type of shit.
He does, and appreciated German cold cuts for that, but that's not really on the menu. Maybe it's around there somewhere, but it was not obvious and it was not part of the sampler, so we were not subjected.
Okay.
For what it's worth, an interesting note about this beer garden experience. It was my first beer with my nephew, William.
Oh,
Who's
William
now
came.
21.
Yeah, he
He's
just turned 21.
He lived with us last summer. He's turned 21 since, and we all went out and had a beer and some brats and some bros.
That
Nice.
is
Permanently closed.
yeah.
Oh, she's
Sorry,
found
Katherine.
it.
I knew
German
that.
Cold Cuts Incorporated was its
Oh,
name.
incorporated. Then what?
I am devastated. I'm completely blaming you, John. I mean, you and James gave it such a bad review. I was like, well, if I'm going to go have a sandwich, I can't waste it on a mediocre sandwich. But Katherine, it's been there our entire lives.
That's the signage. It's still there.
It wasn't incorporated. It's German Cold Cuts International.
Yeah, the sad thing
Oh.
is they did that sign probably within the last 15 years.
And I said, when they upgraded their sign, that was a huge mistake.
Waste of money. Who knows?
Well, it is my fault they closed. I never went there. Oh my God.
You could have been one of their biggest fans.
Now you're more jealous of your experience.
Yeah, so maybe the front would have had more of the deli and the kinds of meats that you've never heard of that seem
Yeah.
maybe not
They're made
worth
out of
it.
elk, deer.
No, we're talking about
boar.
like no, they have like kinds of wurst that you're like, what is that? That's the breakfast sausage. What is that? I don't know. Yeah, it's right. It's iffy. It seems crazy.
There's a lot of question marks as far as like, this is great for lunch or dinner. You're doing this for every single meal. Do you have a whole variety? I'm not totally signed on for that much sausage. Hang tight there.
Now, the thing I forgot to say is before we did this and went to lunch, we also knew because the movie was at like 7:15. we're going to be having dinner around 5. It's now like 2:30.
Oh my God! This eating
It was
schedule.
a- it was
And
a-
is Michelle cooking? So you have to eat.
Yes,
week.
but she'd been cooking all day.
Oh,
so
no.
It's fine.
This
It was
is-
like meatballs in a crock pot. It was not a big deal.
It wasn't her.
perhaps.
What's her chicken bake or some of her?
Oh, no, she didn't do that.
What, chicken divan?
No, it's not that. I don't know what
something
it is.
else?
It's one of her dishes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then we got back. We had a little break before dinner.
Yeah, sure.
William and I decided that maybe there was a brownie appetizer that would happen. So that worked out great for us. Because here's the deal.
When did these sandwiches get eaten?
Not by us.
Unknown.
They're not worried about these sandwiches.
Okay, I'm just joking.
James, when you're listening to this podcast, if you still have one of these sandwiches, please send it to Liz. She
Yes.
would like it.
Yeah. The ice packs were back in the freezer, so they'll be ready to go back for the
Ooh, all
meal.
right. Okay.
So there was a little break before dinner. It was fine. So whatever. We had meatballs, spaghetti, and it was great. It was
What
totally
was the
fine.
brownie appetizer? Were there just brownies around?
Well, William apparently pays strict attention to and has to ask 9 times what is going to be eaten and when. And then it was like, I thought you said there was going to be like cheese, because they'll often do like a cheese and cracker, to
He
keep the
is
kids
a
busy.
young,
perhaps.
growing man, and when he's on somebody else's food schedule coming out of college, when you can eat anytime you want,
Yeah.
he is getting his information that he needs for sure.
I mean, this is the family that, to avoid these questions, did put up a weekly menu of what lunch and dinner was going to be.
Don't ask.
And they stuck to
Check the
pretty
schedule.
regulated times in that
Yeah.
household. It was breakfast, lunch, and dinner at semi-regular times.
I think so. That's true. So anyway, we had also, because the brownies were like left over from some other night, and somehow whatever they came back, and then William and I were like, yeah, well, we could eat those now. And then they stayed out because it was like, well, you guys had them, but does anybody else want them? They didn't. And then dinner was still not there, and William and I were like, I guess we could finish them. John Paul had one too, so it was fun.
We need some more brownies. What
Now-
was Teresa up to during this whole time? We've gotten a little bit of William was involved. John Paul was there, but not
Working at the hardware
Yeah.
store.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So John Paul was back for dinner. Teresa was around. I ended up going for a walk with her and Michelle at some point.
Lovely.
So that was fine. We did their little park, which is very nice and very nearby. So that was great.
All right, nice.
We crossed the train tracks because they have a train right next to them.
Choo.
Although Atherton Station closed forever. So
What is with
What?
this closed forever?
Is this town shutting down? What is happening?
it was funny. Even at lunch, it was the second time I think that I was like, I'm not going to bring up things that are closed, and I kept doing it by accident.
So let me talk about Atherton Station and the German Cold Cut.
Oh, bummer.
I can't even fathom that anyone was using that as a commuter stop in and out of the Atherton town.
It was only open on the weekends.
Yeah, so
Oh.
I'm not even clear what was happening with that train station.
All
permanently
right.
closed.
Okay. All right. So now you're off to the movie, the main event for
Oh,
this
yeah.
trip.
Correct. And
Did you actually buy tickets in advance?
Yes, it was funny. We asked like in the afternoon, or I don't know, I asked maybe earlier morning or what. I was like, hey, so
Yeah.
it isn't, new movies are opening, so it isn't the new movie, but, we should have tickets. They'd already done it some other day.
Oh,
Great.
And, yes.
We heard from James he had researched if there was an IMAX available in his small town. There wasn't.
Well, no, I mean, look, it's kind of suburbs, so it's connected to many other quote unquote small towns. But Oppenheimer has taken those IMAX screens, so Mission
Gotcha.
Impossible doesn't have them at the moment.
Yeah, it got moved out. That was actually an article I read, how they lost some IMAX screens the second week.
Yeah, if you've been speaking to me, I'll definitely tell you about that.
No, okay. We don't need that theory. We don't need that theory. All right, so you go to the movie.
Yes, and I mean, we're on time. Everything's fine. I will say I clued in sort of as we were walking in. I was like, there's a person in pink. For some reason, it caught my eye. And then
Yeah.
as soon as we entered the theater, it was like, there's
There's a
2 people
lot.
together. There's 4 people together.
Barbie.
There's 6 people. I was like, wow, people are excited about Barbie.
Yeah, I was in
Yeah.
Hollywood, and when I say I saw groups of 20 plus women out in all pink and in various hairdos and disco Barbies and this and that. And I don't even think they were going to the movie. I think it was just sort of like,
they were coming.
no, I was in Hollywood. So I just feel like they were just feeling Barbie.
I
disagrry.
I was at the IMAX theater, and there's 20 guys with fedoras. I don't know if they're
No,
seeing Oppenheimer.
There's
but
supposedly that happening too, going to wear that in suits. And then.
No, I saw none
Yes.
of that.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
All right, because listen, it's a big phenomenon. Barbie and Oppenheimer and the cross marking has
Barbenheimer, yeah.
Barbenheimer has been brilliant. And I will say what's awesome about it. It's pretty much original IP. It's, even though you're coming from Barbie is obviously an amazing toy and has generationally been
Real original spin on it, though.
Right, exactly. And then Oppenheimer, basically this is a biography about his life. So
Does anybody know his first name? It's not Ken, is it? That'd be a great
Oppenheimer? No.
crossover.
All right, so now Mission Impossible.
Yeah, so we went to a franchise movie.
Is that number 7?
I think it
so,
might
yeah.
be, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Ethan Hunt, go for it. How
Yeah.
was it?
Not Ethan, your son, different Ethan.
I know. Ethan Hunt.
It was very good. I mean, look,
Was the Mission Impossible?
well, of course.
Did he run really fast to
Many times.
make it happen?
Sometimes didn't make it happen.
Interesting point that you're making there. So far, all of the movies turns out not impossible.
Yeah, apparently
this
possible.
one, still worried about the possibility of it not working out. It's part 1 of 2, so it's not resolved. We don't know if it's possible or
Is he
impossible.
literally hanging off a cliff to symbolize that at the end?
I don't know. Did he?
Not
he
a
had some.
no.
He had some hanging off the sides of a very fast-moving.
Listen, he's impressive with his
situations.
stunt ability. It's
Oh,
pretty,
yeah.
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
okay.
it is the second movie of the summer with on top of train chase, but whatever.
Oh.
If-
Okay, what did you think of it, though?
Yeah, very good. Very fun.
All right. So then you leave the movie.
Correct.
Was there another pub crawl, beer, bar, anchor steam?
Well,
run?
because 7:15 movie, and I'm sure it was 2 hours plus or whatever. So by the time we were getting back, it was like almost 11 or a little past 11. So apparently the thought was, I don't know, I guess James really had it in his mind, which is not something I've experienced a lot of, but not beer. Because he's a little hyped up from this action movie.
Okay.
But so scotch would be better.
Scotch would
You
be
two
better.
drink
Okay,
scotch?
What?
No.
I didn't
Yeah.
think so.
Or, I said for me. You can say for yourself.
I drink some scotch, but I'm more of a bourbon flavor.
Did he have burban for you?
I didn't ask.
That was
He had
not
Macallan
the
12, so
plan.
that's a fine scotch.
Okay.
As long as it's not some blend or some real
So
Any
bitey
blend will do.
scotch.
Come on.
John, did you drink the
Some
scotch?
blend.
Yeah, sure.
Ooh. All right. So
And William.
Oh.
joined us.
whoa,
So
he's
all
really
of
in
us.
on it.
Yeah.
Wait, did he go to the movie?
Yeah, everybody went except Michelle, actually. It was
Oh.
8 of us? 7 of us. I don't know how many it is. You count.
Let's see. 4 of them, 2 of us, 6.
Wow, I
okay.
did not
Quite the
anticipate
group.
that.
Okay, so now you're back at the house drinking scotch.
We actually finished up at 11 because that also was keeping John Paul up because he was going to be sleeping in the living room.
Oh, no.
Oh.
It was only 11 by the time we wrapped up. Not so
Yeah.
bad.
The scotch and everything?
Yeah.
Like, because James
also
notoriously,
James got up early.
well, I know, but James notoriously, if you stayed with him, or he's even done this at mom's house, where all of a sudden he decides it's lights out. So did he make you guys turn your lights out and go to bed?
He's softened on that. I thought you were going to go the other way because what has happened to Ed and I somewhat frequently is like the first night he might come into town, or especially if it's not some exceptionally rigid schedule. It's like, oh, and oops, we stayed up talking until 2 a.m.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we didn't do that. No.
No, and then part of that was I knew there was some early morning stuff happening the next day that I'm not going to mass. Good luck getting up at 7:30.
Ooh, did you go to Mass, John?
We did. Now, the one other thing we have to say about that day, we finished dinner, things are timing out fine, but instead of rushing dessert, the idea was like, oh, we'll do dessert after. But then we get back from the movie, we're like, it's too late, no dessert. So,
No dessert. Thank goodness you had pre-brownies.
Yeah, Michelle had cooked like a cobbler type thing.
What? You turned down a cobbler?
Yeah,
Didn't turn it
peach
down.
and blueberry.
Postponed.
Well, we didn't know that we'd postponed it until we started having breakfast, and then we also got cobbler.
Cobbler's
Oh,
good
okay.
with breakfast.
Yeah.
Peach
It
and
was
berry.
tasty.
Yeah. So you went to an early morning mass with some of the family members.
Correct.
And then you came back to a brunch.
Well, look, and
Brunch at 9 a.m.
yeah,
That's just breakfast. Yeah.
because it was challenging. Our flight was 10:55.
Oh.
Yeah. So
And
it was tight. It was a
they-
tight schedule the whole weekend.
Yes, they have been going to mass at 8, but okay, so finishing mass at 9, and then if you're going to show up to the airport an hour early, that's 9:55, but you got to get to the airport. So the idea was we had from 9 to 9:30, because apparently
Ay, ay, ay.
the nice thing is Sunday traffic was actually quite nice, even going towards San Francisco, but not into San Francisco to the airport.
Yeah, because now you flew out of San Francisco.
Yes, we got to
Nice.
experience
Well, I do want to
another
give
airport.
some props to Michelle's frittata.
There was
It
a lot of
very
discussion
tasty.
on this Saturday, and this is what was happening. Yes.
And what I understood after I'd gotten up with the window that I've like, okay, well, I've got to get ready by 9, so they're out of the house. I'm going to get ready. And I wandered into the kitchen to have, some water or whatever. I'm like, ooh, they've already got breakfast ready to go. That's how they're doing the 9 a.m. start. It's not Mary Killmond. Let's start it right now and have the hottest possible meal.
Well, which is what they normally do for like an eggs and bacon or something. But so instead of doing that, since we're going to have this very tight, even quote unquote a half an hour was already probably don't have that much time in reality, was like a frittata type casserole or something that she made
Nice.
the morning
Very
of.
tasty.
Now, I didn't ask if she woke up John Paul while she was doing that, and I did wake up at 5, and there were noises.
Oh my God.
It's the inconveniences are endless, apparently.
Wow. Okay. So you had a very fast, delicious breakfast.
Yes.
And then James took you into San Francisco now to get your flight out.
Yeah, totally fine, no traffic really until you get to the airport, and then it was basically like LAX, like, oh, locked in, just like.
Oh, jeez.
And it was funny, he pulled a move which was pretty shocking. I'm not that familiar with it, but it's like, okay, instead of departures or maybe arrivals, oh, that looks busy, let's just park. It was like, oh, it wasn't obvious what was happening. It's very different from LAX. So we parked, and then that was great because there were like no spots. So
I would just like get out the two of you and run
5
for
minutes
your
of
gate.
driving up
Yeah.
and down the aisles to try to find the spot, and then didn't.
Yeah, and I mean, at that point, I don't know, was it 10 already or like 9:50?
Yeah, it was 10 when we
Just
got
get
of
out and run.
Yeah, well, he finally was like, all right, I'm going to park temporarily, but first let me get you closer to where you need to be.
Why does he even have to get out of the car at all?
Well, let's say goodbye.
Give us a hug.
Okay. all right,
I mean, that
okay.
was 1 minute, so it was
Okay.
okay. So we, parked temporarily by, I think it was an elevator was what we needed to take. So then we said goodbye, and that was all fine, and we were theoretically in the right place for this airport that we're not familiar
Why
with.
are you saying theoretically? Oh,
Well,
God.
because it's, I don't know. We didn't figure this out until later, but...
It's like, you are here, and then that is your terminal directly there. Okay, great. That makes sense. We're going to get this totally nailed, and we'll get into the airport.
So this time
no
we were
problems.
like, all right, screw the kiosk. We're just going to roll into security. We have the boarding pass. We checked in last night appropriately. We're fine. So, okay, we're going in there. It's now, 10:10 for this 10:55 flight. No big deal. We're doing good. Yeah, so, okay, security doesn't look so bad. Oh, wait, all right, there's this 19 zigzags in this direction. And I was like, well, what's the really long zigzag going back the other way?
What's the one that's 3 times longer and just as many rows of zigzag? Oh, that's
But
connected to this.
it
That's the
looked-
rest of this line? Oh, Jesus.
It looked like a half and half Disneyland type situation. Like, oh, well, no, you don't have to go all the way down, all the way back, all the way down, all the way back. It's like, no, you just go half. No, you are going all the way. So
Oh, Lord.
So I was not super stressing, but it was like, okay, I'm thinking about it. And then finally we're like 3/4 through. And it was also like, you realize you're like outside the security zone. And then you look inside the security zone. And you're like, that looks like some back and forths in there.
That
So
looks also
no.
busy. And then we're looking at the clock, and then we're
it
also
was like 10:25,
Delta's
almost
really
10:30.
tight out of LAX in that extra 15-minute window. They're closing these doors at 10:40. We got to get booked. It's like 10:25.
Yeah, so we finally get to like the first security guy check in, and he does our tickets, and we ask him, he was like, hey, so our flight takes off in 25 minutes. Can we do anything? Can you take us somewhere? He was like, no, you talk to my boss, but no, I can't do anything for you. So we go talk to his boss, and he was like, no, you can ask people if you can cut in front of them. That's it.
Essentially, he's like, I understand your situation. Just ask people to be nice, and it'll probably work out. I can't tell anyone to do anything, but I'm also not going to stop you from like trying to cut in line all the way to the front. I get your situation. Go for it.
Yeah, so we took like 20 more seconds to like, all right, okay, we're like readying our, taking our stuff out of our pockets or whatever, even though there's still like, lines until you need to do that. And then we're like, you know what? It's almost 10:30. I think we...
Let's make the call. Let's ask. Let's ask everybody.
Yeah.
We're just going to get through as fast as we can now. Hey, would you mind? And John was
said
at the
it
front of the...
25 times.
Yeah, he
of
had to
1
do it.
minute.
I thanked a lot.
Yeah.
I made a couple jokes of thank you so much. Appreciate it. We'll let you cut when we see you in the future.
Yeah, everybody was very nice. No
Very
one even said
appreciative. They
one
understood.
thing about it. And then it was funny because then you get to the actual like, oh, you're about to be scanned and you have to put your bags. And I was like, well, okay, we're gonna let those 3 people go in front of us because their bags are already. How are we gonna get in front of them?
Right.
So whatever. That ended up being kind of fine and whatever. We get through that thing and then it was like, well, now it's like 10:30 something.
Oh, go find a reservation at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Go find a
Let's
table.
at least have a bite to eat with
Yeah,
5 minutes to
fine,
go.
yeah.
But, at that point it was like, I think we should, should we like run? Should we, we made that very quickly. Like I got through the line. There was one person in between us. He came out and I was like, should we go? And it was like, he was like, yeah. So I like picked up his bags and he like didn't even put his shoes on.
No shoes.
Oh,
I had socks on.
No, we walked for a little bit and I was like, should we go? And I was like, do you want to stop for your socks? And he was like, no.
We
He was like,
navigated through the people
Yeah.
and it was like, do we want to sit and put your shoes on or do we want to just like book it right now. I'm like,
Just get there.
hold that stuff. I got this stuff. Let's go. I'm gonna hold my pants up and put my belt on yet. Whee!
So we went 5 feet in the wrong direction.
Oh.
Yeah, 5 feet in the wrong direction. Not bad. And then it was like, wait, these are the D terminal.
Thank God you caught that.
Whereas C terminal, immediate right turn before you had even like escaped security practically.
Yeah.
And then like honestly, I mean,
Is
like a
the
half-mile hallway.
It was
to
the
get
full
to that C.
It was
Oh
the
my God.
full ass end of a terminal that didn't have any gates. When you started, you're running that long connection to the
no.
terminal C, and
Yeah.
then you're at the
Of
beginning
course,
of one.
somehow
and
you're at, like,
we're at C11,
the middle
Oh
to
my God.
end of that like, okay, let me run by all the gates. So yeah, you definitely, and it was like, well, we're approaching like the 15-minute mark that they're gonna close the gate, and I checked the board to like that it's the same gate, and it was like C11, last call. Okay, let's go. But
And as we approached the gate, I'm going to say it was apparent to me it wasn't closing as we were approaching it. It was just a cacophony of people, but half of it was Starbucks.
I read it the other way.
Like, half of that line looks like Starbucks, but some of those people have bags in their hands. That door's open. We're all right.
It was
We'll get there.
strange because there were people with their bags in their hand, but they were not like lined up to get on the plane. It was very full, so that, you know, you'd think like, okay, that's a boarding type situation. To me, that read more like boarding for the next flight. So I was
Right.
like, no, we're still like last call. Yeah, there's even a person right in front of us that didn't seem entirely certain. I was like, are you boarding this flight? Like, do I need to cut in front of you right now? I was like, no, yes. And then they were not in the right place. So
Oh,
whatever.
God.
But then, yeah, so we were like, oh, we made it. And, you know, we'd been running 20 feet ago or whatever. So not that the gate person
Little out of
really
breath.
noticed or cared. But they're like, okay, yeah, sure. See you later. No comment or anything. So we walk in. There's people lined up almost all the way at the plane, you know, not in the, you know, whatever that structure is called.
At the point at which two dudes roll up, shoes off, no belt on, one guy's got all the bags, huffing and puffing, you tell him, we're not leaving for 15 minutes.
We're okay.
Say anything at that point. We've
You made
obviously misjudged how the timing is going to happen. We thought we were up against it.
Because
but-
at that point, it was probably about 10:40 when the gate was supposed to close. Maybe
Right.
10:41. It was the time.
But travel's become so arduous, and if you work for the airlines, they see this all the time.
That's my thing, is they're pushing
They're
thousands
just
of
like,
people. You make it or not
you made
make
it.
It's on
Okay,
you.
great.
See ya.
And I
I'm
mean,
doing my
people
thing.
really will haul ass. I mean, they'll do anything to not miss a flight because it's just so.
Well, that was
Complicated.
When we were in the security line before we started to really try to move, it was like, this is a we don't know if we're going to make it situation.
Yeah.
We might not. So then even like, well, even if we try, will that work? And it was like, well, let's try, and then maybe we will. So
we might get to a closed gate and a plane that we can see for the
Yeah.
next
Which
20
is-
minutes when it's not leaving that we can't get on. That would suck.
I've definitely done that mostly for connections where it's like, no, it was connecting, same airline, whatever, you're running, that plane is pulled away. Thanks.
Oh, no.
But anyway, so we get in there and it's like, well, there's people lined up in front of us and some people are coming on now at the back of us and whatever. And you get in the plane and it's like, well, it's not entirely full up front. And then, wait, is that whole back half of the plane empty?
The last 30
It was like-
rows are not even sat yet.
It's like
What is
1/3
happening?
full, and it ended up being full. So
Yeah.
so many people boarded after us. It was insane. I don't understand where they were. It made no sense.
Basically, everyone that we ran past
I
was probably
guess.
headed to our gate and got on the plane
They're
with
like,
us.
"God,
It's like,
what's
are
their
those the two
rush?"
that just ran past us? What was their issue? Were they beating security or something?
Chill out, you two.
I do feel certain towards the end. I mean, I had to say that 19 times today because I was like, where were all these people? This is crazy. Why are they so late? Because at this point, it's way past when the gate was supposed to be closed. I feel like I did see a woman because I recognized her sunglasses. That I was like, you were in line in security ahead of us, but did somehow arrive here without, I think, rushing. So whatever.
I'll say
Good
this.
for you.
Neither John nor I purchased the tickets, so thank you very much, James, for hooking us up and bringing us up to visit you. That was very, very nice. But not having purchased the tickets kind of gives me a little bit of an out of the loop sense. I'd have to like add my, frequent flyer account to somebody else's ticket purchase. That seems like I'm not trying to get the miles off of that. But then I also didn't bother to download the Delta app and check our actual flight times. There might have been information everybody
It
was
was
getting
on
via a
time.
text,
All the whole thing,
or
which
via
makes
an
no
app
sense.
that was saying something. But when the pilot let us know that there had been a 15 to 20 minute delay because of a mechanical issue, we're like, well, why did we run? Could
Yeah,
someone
that
have
was-
given us any information?
No, they do not. They
No,
want
they
you
don't.
all sitting there.
So
No,
as
no,
we're
no.
sitting there and they're boarding people after they should, they also then said, well, there was a mechanical issue. Then we did also get delayed by, I think that same person who was like, went to the bathroom and then everybody was seated and they said over the intercom multiple times, they even I think knocked on the bathroom like, hey, everybody needs to be seated before we can push back. we're waiting on you.
Awkward.
no.
Yeah. So anyway, we really did make it, shockingly, and then it was kind of fine, but it was late. It says that we took off 14 minutes late, which seems it was more than that. And then we got there 10 minutes late, which was also not really accurate. It was like maybe we pushed back from the gate 14 minutes late and we touched down 10 minutes late. But that's not how that all works. There were
Right.
You're
further
trapped.
delays.
There's no, it doesn't matter whether you're taking off early, late. I mean, some flight recently I was on there, like took off early, and I was like, how can you do that?
Take off early.
Everybody's on board. Everybody's on
Just
board. We can
said
leave early.
They
then
never
that's
leave
fine.
early.
They never leave early. If you are checked in and a passenger and they have an out time, they
I
don't
don't
close the
believe
gates
it.
on you. If you are like, oh, the last 2 passengers haven't made it on, and we have 10 more minutes for them to get here, screw them.
I think they call you your name like twice and then they leave.
They might, but it's also like the airport's on a whole other schedule. They got to get those planes off the ground. There's more coming in, et cetera, et cetera.
All right, so you landed in Delta LAX again?
Well, but I do want to say out of a mostly, nothing flight, there wasn't much more to mention, drink service and whatever. We did get some good overseat viewing of our neighbors, what they were watching. I was stuck watching Instructions Not Included, which is like quite old, but also hadn't seen it and also like that actor's.
A movie? Why would you start a movie for an hour
we
flight?
couldn't tell you.
We didn't. Everyone around us did.
So John and I are BSing and talking through this flight, but I'm also kind of eyeballing between the two seats. I can only see one screen. John's in the middle seat. He can see directly next to him, plus both of the side views in front.
Yeah, I had 3 seats that I could look at. The one next to me was Crazy Rich Asians, love it. The one to the left in front of me was Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Perfect
Great.
match for
and
our
then the
trip.
one to the right in front of me was Big Hero 6. So I was like going between
What?
all 3. It was great.
But you guys didn't watch anything.
No. It was a half an hour flight. What are we going to watch something? No, it's fine. We're
Jeez.
good. We'll
All
watch other
right.
people watch stuff. But Planes, Trains, and Automobiles felt very appropriate way to end this weekend excursion. Even though we didn't end up making it on a train, we were right next to a train track.
Uh-oh, I'm going to go off thematically. I'm sorry. Big Hero 6, the kid was very smart. He skipped around and then experienced the ending.
That was actually brilliant. Just fast forward, it all works out. And actually, coming from San Francisco, Big Hero 6 is loosely based
That's
on
very
the
true.
city of San Francisco. Okay, so you parked your car at LAX.
Oh,
Yeah,
why did you
I
even
mean-
bring that up?
The thing is, obviously we're on a tight schedule, leaving work, getting
Yeah.
there. So we looked up as much as we could to try to figure out, like, where can we park that's not going to murder us and that's not going to take an extra 40 minutes to get to the dang airport, a quarter mile
A
from
lot
there.
of extra time to factor in.
Between
Yeah.
parking and then paying and getting it squared away and getting on the little tram that they got or whatever they've got. That's a whole bunch of extra time. We're just going to go straight to parking. I looked it up. It's like $35 a day. Not in the lot that we parked in.
Oh no.
Oops. And then, as we were trying to leave the parking lot, I was faced with bad graphic design plus all hand-stickered stuff to point where you're supposed to put things, and nothing looked like where the ticket was supposed to go or the credit card was supposed to go. So I couldn't figure it out for 5 minutes. Someone came over. They're like, put your ticket here, there, and put your credit card there. There! There are no even arrows or signs. It's fine. Let's leave. We're out. We paid premium price for 2 days.
Oh
It
no.
was great.
And then it was, LAX was very busy just walking out, and then the crosswalk took forever. And then driving out was like real slow.
Yeah. But we made it to the studio to record this podcast fresh off of our trip.
Yeah,
We
this is a
I
fresh
mean-
took a
story.
bathroom break at home and came here.
I feel like this is the parallel. You went to go see Mission Impossible. You took on a mission that seemed impossible to get in and out of 4 different airports or whatever it
Mission
was.
inconvenient, but yeah.
Yes.
Well, and
the bro trip was mission inconvenient.
And the good news is that because it is a part 1 of 2, this mission isn't
I
complete
am
yet.
not signed on yet.
Oh my God. You have some
Obviously,
time.
the Ethan Hunt era of us going to the problem, now the problem will come to us. James will be coming down for part 2.
Yeah, you've
I'm
got
sure.
some time too. I think it's a whole nother year plus before it comes out.
Yeah.
So don't worry too much.
And also, you got to figure out a whole new stunt. You already did the flying off a mountain.
Don't spoil alert because I don't.
That's in every trailer and is the only thing anyone's actually
But maybe I
spoiled
pulled a
about
John
it.
and I've
No,
not
you
looked at the
haven't.
trailer. Of
You've
course I watched the
100%
whole thing. But
for people who didn't know, Tom Cruise likes to do his own stunts. And I'm imagining he'll one-up himself somehow
Every
in the next
time.
movie.
That's his move.
Yes.
I'll be waiting to be impressed, sir.
well, it sounded like you had an awesome bro weekend.
We did.
And so,
Bros,
very nice.
beers, movies.
and brats.
Yeah, don't forget your
Well,
brats.
Bros, beers, and brats.
I didn't want to call out any of my nieces or nephews, but yeah, there were some brats.
No, yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that mission that you went on.
Oh, yes.
Yes, mission accomplished. So, all right. Thank you for listening to Family Dynamics. We are available on every social platform at Family Dynamics with a K. We appreciate you listening. Also available on YouTube.
Yep, full episodes.
So, thanks again for listening to
Family Dynamics.